What's up guys, Spencer here, and on this episode of Tech Talk I'm going to be reviewing Dell's newest tablet, the Dell Venue 8 7840. Like I said, this is their newest tablet. It's featuring Intel's RealSense software as well as their cameras. It was a pleasure to be using this for the past week, so I ran it through some tests and I put it through some challenges. So let's see how it came out and if it pairs up with the tablets that have been the top so far. Alright guys, so here it is, the Dell Venue 8 7840. As you can see, it is a very thin tablet, coming in at only 6mm thin, making it actually the world's thinnest tablet. The Venue 8 also only weighs about 305 grams, making it pretty light as well. It features a full aluminum body with contrasting plastic housing, which is located on the back, covering the cameras. The Venue 8 also feels like a well-built and sturdy tablet, much like an iPad, and with that aluminum casing, it also looks good for a $400 tablet as well. This tablet is also actually thinner than the iPad Air 2 by 0.1 millimeters. Now, because I don't have an iPad Air 2 to compare it with, I did put it up alongside my Nexus 7 2013, which is coming in at 8.65 millimeters. And as you guys can tell, this tablet is extremely thin. Now, since I'm on the topic of build quality, I'd like to say that the power and volume buttons are also very well built. They have a nice tactile feedback to them, so you know exactly when you're pressing either of the buttons, and they don't feel mushy or soft. They are also not too sunken into the tablet, which means that they are easy to find when trying to feel for them to either turn the tablet on or off, or even adjust the volume. Now, as for this gorgeous display, Dell has chosen to go with an 8.4-inch OLED panel with a resolution of 1600 by 2560, making it a 2K display. It is actually the same panel that Samsung uses in their Galaxy Tab S 8.4, which if you've seen that display, then you know exactly what you'll be getting with the Venue 8. If you haven't seen the display, just know that it has bright, vibrant, and saturated colors, as well as deep, dark, contrasting blacks. It also has great viewing angles and can be seen very well in bright sunlight. And to really complement the screen and make it look even better, there are practically zero bezels surrounding it. And because there are literally no bezels, Dell has appropriately assigned a name for their screen, calling it the Infinity Display, which they are also using in their new Dell XPS 13-inch laptop. The only bezel that is surrounding the display is located at the bottom, which houses the front-facing speaker. Speaking of the speaker, Dell has included a single front-facing stereo speaker, as I have mentioned, which puts out a nice quality sound, but can have a little tinniness to it when turned up to max volume. It also has pretty good bass and treble, which you can feel reverberating throughout the whole tablet due to its nice aluminum design. The speaker also sounds good when playing games or watching a movie, and in portrait mode you really get the effect of the stereo speakers. Although when in landscape mode, you kind of lose that effect due to there only being one speaker. Now, one cool feature that Dell included and is going to keep including in all of their new products is an app called MaxxAudio. MaxxAudio lets you fine-tune different settings for different types of media, such as movies, music, dialogue, and games. It's pretty much a control panel for your speakers, allowing you to control different settings such as bass boosting, treble boosting, and even dialogue boosting. You can also increase the overall volume with the max volume setting. There is a balance slider, so you can offset the sound to either of the stereo speakers. Unfortunately, I really couldn't tell the difference when moving the slider left or right. It also has an equalizer, so you can fine-tune different pitches and frequencies, and this can be used to pretty much eliminate that tinniness overall. As for the software, Dell has shipped the Venue 8 with Android 4.4.4 KitKat. Dell has also mentioned that it will be receiving Lollipop sometime in the near future, which is the newest version of the Android operating system. The Venue also comes unlocked in terms of bootloader, so that when Lollipop does become available, instead of waiting for the OTA update, you should be able to just manually push it to the device. And because this is running a near stock version of Android, everything is pretty much smooth and flawless in terms of navigating and app switching. Now under the hood you'll find Intel's quad-core Atom Z3580 processor, clocking in at 2.33 GHz and paired with 2 GB of RAM. Due to there being a quad-core under the hood, it makes everything much smoother, web pages render pretty fast, and there is no lag while scrolling through them either. Games are also very smooth and fast with no drop frames or lag. Even when playing pretty high-end games such as Goat Simulator, everything ran smooth without a hiccup. Now you can definitely tell that the processor is in high gear because the back gets pretty hot when under heavy loads, and it's not horrible, although just enough to make your hands sweaty, but you can really tell that Dell did a good job integrating the heatsink with the aluminum body. I also ran some benchmarks to see exactly where the Venue 8 fell in terms of graphical performance, and it fared up pretty well, getting an overall score of 20,119, putting it just under the iPad Air 2. I also ran some work performance tests to see how well the tablet does with everyday tasks, such as web browsing, video playback, writing, and photo editing, placing it just above the Amazon Fire HDX 8.9-inch tablet from last year, with a score of 4,409. As for the best performing tablet, the Nexus 9, which has a 64-bit Tegra K1 processor and a score of 5,877, which is a big leap in performance compared to the Venue 8. Now it's still a good everyday tablet, but there are better devices out there at the same price point. Now I did notice some issues here and there with loading apps, especially YouTube. It would just take a couple seconds to open up and load, but once open then everything was all smooth and responsive again. I also noticed that this tablet was kind of a RAM hog, and that 2 gigs might not be enough memory overall. As I was testing the Venue, I kept getting messages from CleanMaster saying that my RAM was maxing out and to boost it all the time, even though I really would only have a few apps open at once. And after boosting it, it would go down for a few percent and then would go back right up again. Not sure what's causing all the high usage, but it kinda gets annoying. Dell has also added some of their own apps, which can be pretty useful. The first one being the My Dell app. This app is pretty much a diagnostic center for your tablet. It shows all of the info on the device, such as storage, battery charge, CPU usage, and RAM usage. It also shows all of your warranty information as well as different diagnostic tests that can be ran on various parts of the hardware. So if you think something is going out, such as your digitizer or your battery, you can run a specific test to see if there is actually an issue. You can also run a quick checkup, which runs through the basics like Wi-Fi, battery, GPS, and Bluetooth, and if it finds something, it'll let you know and walk you through some basic troubleshooting, or direct you to Dell's website so that you may send it out for repair if needed. There is also the Gallery app, which is, as you might have guessed it, where all of your pictures and videos will be stored. But it's not just a storage for camera pics, you can also sync up your Facebook pictures and albums, as well as media from Dropbox and Pixa, and once you get everything synced up all together, all of those different media sources will be accessible through the Gallery app. It also keeps track of geotagged pictures, which are placed on a world map based on the location they were taken. And the final app that Dell includes is called the Dellcast app, which is pretty much like a Chromecast, but with a bit more functionality. First of all, you have to purchase the Dellcast HDMI dongle separately for $70. Then all you have to do is plug it into any HDMI port on a TV or monitor, along with the power cord, and you can then stream content from the tablet right to the display. You can also hook up the keyboard and mouse, and pretty much use the tablet as a PC. This can be pretty cool for someone who wants to use their tablet strictly for business, or someone who just wants to use a regular keyboard and mouse to browse the web on their tablet. Now for the cameras, which are completely new to any tablet, and that's because they are Intel's RealSense cameras. Now if you don't know about Intel's newest technology, then check out my video where I explain everything that you'll need to know about RealSense. You can find the link in the description below. The two top cameras being the RealSense cameras, which are capable of measuring depth. The one on the bottom is just a standard camera. All three are 8 megapixels and can shoot up to 720p video. The UI for the camera app is pretty simple. You have 4 modes, the first being the depth snapshot mode, which is the RealSense cameras. The second is just a regular single shot mode for the other camera. Then you have video, panorama, and burst shot, all of which are pretty cool and fun to use. Now, because of the placement of the cameras, there is kind of a certain way you have to hold the device, and that is upside down. You can hold it in landscape, but just make sure you hold it on the edges and not on the sides, because you'll probably be covering the cameras. As for picture quality, they're decent. Of course, in low light you have lots of noise and grain, but in bright sunlight or ambient light they perform pretty well. The best part of RealSense cameras is, of course, their ability to measure depth, much like the human eye. This allows for awesome functionality, such as changing the focus after you have taken the picture, which works pretty well given you have the proper circumstances and settings, such as good lighting and being at least 4 feet from the subject. Now, after you take the picture, you want to head over to the Gallery app, which is where you'll be doing most of your editing. From there, you can choose 3 types of tools. One is the main editing tool, where you can add filters and adjust settings. The other is the measurement tool, which as of now is unavailable but will be coming soon via an update. Then the last one is the depth tool, and this is where you can make the changes to the focus. The main function is the tap to focus, which is pretty nifty. If something is out of focus that you want in focus, then all you have to do is tap on it. There is also a slider on the left, which allows you to change the depth of field. And then finally you have a slider on the bottom, which allows you to change the intensity of the focus. This feature works pretty well overall, but definitely could use some improvement. There are other cool depth effects, such as black and white, which allow you to select either the foreground or background to be in color and the opposite being black or white. You can use this to bring out specific things while fading out everything else. Dell also included regular filters such as vintage and black and white, as well as various borders. You can also use the manipulation tools to crop and straighten pictures, as well as the adjustment tool to change white balance and contrast. Now, as for the front camera, I do have some mixed feelings. The first issue is the placement. It's horrible, to be exact. I know that Dell had to put the camera somewhere, and with the lack of bezels, the best place was, of course, the bottom, and they put it in the bottom left corner, which in my opinion is not a very good place for it. It makes it really awkward to take selfies or do a video chat, and I know you can turn the tablet upside down to take a picture, but in most apps such as Snapchat, the picture will come out upside down. Now, if you're just taking a regular picture via the camera app, then you can just use the rotation tool to flip the picture right side up, but for me that's really too much work. Now, as for the quality of the pictures, they're okay, but again, in bright light they look much better, like the back cameras, and in low light they really start to suffer. Now again, it's only a 2 megapixel camera, so I wouldn't expect too much out of it, so it's really not that big of a deal. Now onto the storage. As for now, there is only a 16 gig Wi-Fi only variant, which doesn't seem like enough storage space overall, and especially when the system takes up at least 7 gigs, leaving you a whopping 9 gigs to work with in total. I would have liked to see a 32 gig option, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Now, you can't complain too much about the storage because there is a microSD slot which can hold up to 512 gigs. As for the battery, Dell has put in a 5670 milliamp hour battery. Now, I did run a battery test which runs through all of the performance tasks that I mentioned before, such as web browsing and picture editing. So pretty much just everyday tasks. Now, the test runs until the battery is down to 20%, and the test doesn't start until the battery is at 80%. So I ran it with the battery at 100% all the way down to 20%, and the screen stays on the whole time. So throughout the test, the program went through the different performance tests, and the battery lasted for at least 7.5 hours. Now, that's again with the screen being on the whole time, and with you using it for 7.5 hours. As for standby time, I was able to get at least 3 to 4 days before having to throw it on the charger. Now, for the issues, again, this tablet isn't flawless. It definitely has some issues. The first one being the biggest issue in my book, which is the Wi-Fi. Now, Dell has put the Wi-Fi antenna in the bottom left corner of the tablet by the camera. You can tell this because every time you put your hand in the left corner when holding the tablet and you have that area covered, you'll notice if you look up in the right-hand corner that the Wi-Fi bars drop a couple. Now, I did run a speed test, and I tested it both with my hands off of the corner and then with my hands covering the corner, and you can really definitely tell that there's a dramatic decrease when blocking the antenna. Now, again, I don't know about you guys, but I hold my tablet with my left hand, so it gets kind of annoying when I keep losing signal here and there when trying to go through the web or go on Facebook. The second issue, which is I guess just me being nitpicky, is the glossy plastic that covers the cameras. It's pretty much like a giant fingerprint magnet, and it would have been nice if Dell made the whole body aluminum instead of with that plastic casing. Again, it's me just being nitpicky, but I really don't like wiping off the fingerprints all the time. Alright guys, so that's it for the review. I have mixed feelings on this tablet. I really like it. I love the screen. I love the processing power. There really isn't much issue with that stuff. It's just the Wi-Fi issue is I can't deal with it. Because I hold the tablet, you know, like this, and if my hand is covering it, then it's pretty much lost signal. And I can't have it losing signal here and there. But other than that, I mean, the cameras are good. Like I said, in low light, they kind of degrade a little bit, but in regular sunlight, or if you have a bright light, ambient light in the room, it does have some pretty good cameras. And also the front-facing camera placement is off. So I mean, I can't really deal with that. I mean, that's not a big issue, but it's something that kind of bothers me a little bit. It's kind of awkward trying to take a selfie or video chat or whatever. It's like I said, it's not a big issue. The only big issue I have is the Wi-Fi. So if they would fix the Wi-Fi, then this tablet would be 100%. And I know RealSense has a while to go because this is the first iteration of the integration of RealSense technology in a tablet. So I'm assuming as we progress on to future tablets and other computers and laptops and other devices with RealSense, that it'll obviously get better. But right now, I mean, it's the first iteration of it, so it is kind of hit or miss right now. And they're going to be updating it and kind of releasing software patches and other updates and features in the future. But right now, as it stands, probably not my go-to tablet right now, especially with the Wi-Fi issue. I'm really thinking about returning it, unfortunately, and going with an NVIDIA Shield, testing that out a little bit. But like I said, I mean, if you're interested in this tablet, don't let that Wi-Fi issue get you down. I mean, if you can live with it, go ahead. It's a great tablet. I enjoyed reviewing it. I enjoyed playing with it. I really wish I could keep it, but I mean, I guess I could keep it, but it's just not worth it in my opinion for $400 for something that loses signal here and there. It's just not good. So again, I like this tablet, but it does have its flaws, and unfortunately for me, the flaws kind of outweigh the good to some aspect. So if you guys like it, please leave a comment, thumbs up, subscribe for more videos like this. I really appreciate you guys supporting my channel and commenting and subscribing. So again, if you guys like it, please do all that cool stuff that I just mentioned, and I'll see you next time in the next video. Peace.